I'll teach you everything you need to know about if statements in 5 minutes. An if statement is just a condition that we decide, and if that certain condition is true, code will run. We choose the condition and we choose what happens when it runs. I'll show you the syntax for it. Let's write all lowercase if 1 plus 1 and then 2 equals sign 2, then print hi. I'm assuming you guys know how to print by now. You put in a string and stuff. Yeah. The syntax for an if statement is you start off with the word if, and then the condition that you want to check if it's true or not. In this case, it's 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And when you're scripting, the single equals is used for when you're making a variable. Like if you have this, that's when you use a single equals to assign this variable to equal to that. When you want to check if a condition is true, you use 2 equal sign. Like here, we're checking, does 1 plus 1 equal 2? If that's true, then you can print hi. Everything we put in between the then and the end is going to happen. We could have hundreds of lines here, and this will all be printed out if the condition is true. You see how it's printed out? Because 1 plus 1 is indeed equal to 2. What if we change it to 1 plus 1 is equal to 4? In case you don't believe me, nothing happens because 1 plus 1 is not equal to 4. I'm not a liar. It doesn't just have to be a mathematical equation. It could be any sort of condition. And what I mean by that is like maybe you want to check if a part's name is equal to something, like if workspace.part_a.name is equal to part A, then print this stuff. Is part A's name equal to part A? It is. So it prints out I know. We could even check any property we want. We could check if the transparency is equal to, like, I don't know, 0.5. It could be, we can check if the transparency is equal to anything. 2 equal sign, remember. And then if it's true, we can say print it is true. But too bad that the transparency is not equal to 0.5, so nothing gets printed. Yeah, you can check any property, check if it's equal to whatever you want. And like, what if you're not sure if this condition is equal to true? Well, you can even print out conditions like this. And this is going to check, is workspace.parta.transparency equal to 0.5? And if it's not equal to 0.5, it'll print out false. But what if the condition is true? If the transparency is equal to 0, now it's checking if the transparency is equal to 0, and that is indeed true. Basically, conditions boil down to true or false. Anything that boils down to a boolean can be used as a condition. In fact, we could even just write true here because that is a boolean. Anything that boils down to a boolean will work. If true, then yeah, anything that boils down to true will cause the code to run, even if it's just true. And anything that boils down to false will not run, even if it's just the word false. But that's kind of useless since true is always true and false is always false, so like there's no need to check anything. Something I want to cover, you might have noticed this little drop down menu thing, this little drop down triangle thing. This means that this is a block, and what that entails is that you have a start and an end to it, and the end is always going to be end. So from the if statement to the end, this is all a block. That means everything in here should be indented. No matter how many things you have, it should be indented. You shouldn't be writing stuff over here. That's not good practice. Everything within a block should be indented. Something else about a block is that if you make a variable and add the word local to it, for example, local var equals 21, then it's only going to work inside of that block. For example, if we take this local var equals 21 and put it inside of this if statement block, and then we try to print it outside of it, you see that error message we got underneath it? Because it doesn't know what it is. If we get rid of this local, it does know what it is. But since we wrote it local, this variable only exists within this block. However, if we were to declare it outside of this block, you see how these are all in the same script block? I guess you can consider everything outside its own block. Then I can still print it just fine because it's in the outer block. It's in the outermost block where everything is inside of. So when it's inside of here, it can only be used within the same block. You see, this is fine. But if we use it outside, then we can use it anywhere within the whole script. So why does anyone use local in front of variables if it just is more limiting? Well, the first thing is that it's often bad practice to declare a variable inside a block and then try to use it outside of that block. That's not good practice because it makes things wonky and things might not work out the way you want. And second, it's better optimized since the script doesn't have to worry about as many variables. Like it doesn't have to worry about, oh, what if you call a variable outside of here? No, it only has to worry about this variable in these few lines of code. It doesn't have to worry about that variable in all the others of lines of code you may or may not have. So it's better optimized this way. And that's why you see most variables are local when like the vast majority of the time.